He's just as perplexed about it as we are, how you get two different football teams from the first quarter and then what happens after that.
Can we see the graphic again on just the points scored by the Browns offense by quarter? You put that up for a second.
They score 82 in the fourth, but they allow 101.
Yeah. So,
and by the way, the fourth quarter scoring is usually that's usually the quarter where the most points are scored.
Yeah.
Teams, there's more of a sense of urgency there. I wish they would coach every single series, and I can't understand why no one's ever done this. There was a time where I thought Andy Reid did this. I wish every coach in the league would just coach every series as if there's 4 minutes to go and you're down 5.
Right. Well, the Browns' offense, by the way, if you look by quarter, their offense is productive except for the third quarter. The third quarter is really bad. But the second and fourth quarters, they're scoring fine. It's the defense that's been horrendous in those quarters.
The problem with the Browns' offense is the Browns' offense, like most of the team, they don't have any room for error. Like if you get a holding penalty, you get offsides, it's a wrap.
Because they don't have a great, if you had Deshaun Watson, it wouldn't be a wrap.
You can do some different. That's why I'm interested in seeing what it is this offense looks like. Because I don't think, to me, the offense shouldn't look like what it looks like with Jacoby Brissett. They shouldn't have the same formations and the same plays.
Well, I don't think Farrell Brown's going to be on the field when Brissett's the quarterback. Maybe I'm wrong.
Or Deshaun Watson?
I'm sorry. Yeah, when Watson's the quarterback. But I think you are going to see different sets.
I mean, a great quarter, as well as Brissett.
David Bell come on, by the way.
David Bell has been in more forward.
I don't think wide receiver is the problem. No. I'd love them to add a veteran wide receiver, like a second, third guy next year, but I don't think that's one problem we thought they had that I don't think is really an issue for this team.
I think they need one more.
Yeah, but it's not as desperate as we thought.
But it's not. I think the defense is in trouble of a whole rebuild. They need a whole rebuild.
I mean,
they got like 3 guys.
A complete front seven. I think the secondary with better coaching is going to be fine. Maybe I'm crazy. I think it'll be fine. Certainly the corners I think will be better. I think the secondary's okay with better coaching. But the front seven needs a complete overhaul outside of mine. And I'd move on from Clowney, too. Complete overhaul except for Miles Garrett.
He's gone.
You look at it,
and I'm not. Got 1 sack?
He's a non-factor.
1.5, baby. 1.5.
Unreal.
He came back just to play with Deshaun Watson. And I think the moment that he got 11 games, he's like, man, I'm cool on that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to get this $10 million, whatever it is. He's not going to be here next year.
By the way, we didn't know the numbers when we announced the Ndamukong Suh signing last week. Did you guys look at that contract?
How much did you give him?
Nickels.
Pennies.
Nothing.
So the question for me would be, did the Browns try to get him?
No.
Well, we don't know that. Maybe he just didn't want to play for them.
I mentioned last week.
Suh did say he wanted to go to a contender.
There was a report
record, he said he
early in the season when the Browns were still
contenders,
still alive.
Right?
Yeah, there was a report that he wanted to go to a contender and that the Browns were in the mix.
Yeah, and maybe he didn't want to play then. Maybe he wanted to wait to see.
I don't think he did. But the reason I bring that up is because after looking at the numbers and what he was paid, it's.
Well, they signed 2 veteran defensive tackles. I think they both got the exact same contract.
Yeah, but when you look at what Suh's going to make, it's very, very, very incentive-laden.
It's
very
Linval Joseph they got, too.
Linval Joseph, yeah.
But
it is possible he didn't want to sign with them.
It is possible. But what I said at that point was everybody has a number. Sure. Like maybe he was saying, so you talk to your agent, what does he want to do? He wants to play the last half of the season.
Yeah.
And he wants to play for a contender.
Yeah.
What number are you guys? Where are you? Okay, so just overwhelm him and say, we need you for 14 games, and here's the number. And it's triple what you're asking for, because what he got was nothing. He got pennies.
Can I ask a question, though, about that? And, Jason, you're the cap guy, so I'll let you start.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, there's space this year.
There's space this year, but if they spend it this year, how does it affect next year? Because that's when Watson's
what they don't spend rolls over.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to roll over. I think they're like $50 million under the cap right now. That they're trying to roll.
But they're going to be $30 million or something over next year.
Right. Now, there's going to be ways to nip and tuck that, obviously.
Yes.
But as the numbers stand today, that's accurate.
But every dollar you spend this year does affect next year's cap.
What I don't understand
every dollar you save this year, you can roll over to a fed.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And so at the end of it, we're talking minimal numbers. I think for $3 million, they probably could have got him for the entire season.
In the offseason, we're going to find out something. They're going to be at the Combine or going to be somewhere, and they're going to let off that when Deshaun Watson got suspended 11 games, it was a graceful gentleman's punt. It was a gentleman's
punt.
It wasn't out and out. We don't care about the season.
They're like, well, why are we going to spend money on defensive tackle?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I've said that all year.
He has
you guys
said
were
that.
killing me.
Jason has said that since before the season started.
You
I
have
said
said
they
that.
shouldn't.
What he was saying was not that you weren't right.
Right.
He's saying
They're gonna
nonsense.
they're going to have
the clock is
You
ticking
didn't
on
say
all
a
these
gentleman's
guys.
punt. You just said a regular punt.
Yeah, that's right.
And so,
very mean.
Jason did a coffin corner. G did the gentleman's punt. I respect the difference. Very nuanced, G.
It was a gentleman's punt. They said, okay, and here's even the carries. Like, so we argued with Bull, and I had to think. I said, hold on. They're like, oh, well, we're not going to win, and we're not going to burn Nick Chubb out. You only going to get 18 carries. We're not going to burn you out.
We're not going to win, and we're not going to spend any money because we're going to need that money next year.
There you go. And I ain't spending no bread either. So it was kind of like we were like, oh, but we still can. Hold on, really?
Yeah, but now tell that to a Myles Garrett who on every single play he goes out there runs the risk of a career-ending injury.
I agree
and
with
Nick
you.
Chubb, who every single play he goes out there runs the risk of a career-ending injury.
That's a tough sell.
Ultimately, they were playing to win. It wasn't like they were tanking.
But they weren't all in.
They weren't going to spend. It's fair to argue they weren't going to spend the extras
But
based on the
thing
situation.
that's weird about Sue is they did, like last year, they brought in Malik Jackson on a one-year contract.
Yeah.
A veteran at the end of his career, and they brought him in on one. So it's not like they're opposed to doing that. So I do wonder if it's just the fact Sue didn't want to come here. Because
Sue may have just said, I'll
Again,
talk to
if the
teams in the
money
middle
was
of the
right-
season and I'll see who's a contender.
Yeah,
exactly it.
but again, if the money was right, look at what Deshaun Watson went from a hard no to Cleveland, don't even talk to me, to coming to Cleveland in 24 hours. You're like, wait, what the hell just happened?
Even at
Well, what the hell happened was, and I'm not saying you offer him that kind of money, but everybody has a price.
Yeah, but you run into a danger with that because Mike Holmgren had a price too, and look how that turned out.
Yes.
Yeah,
So if you just are writing, and maybe that happens with Deshaun, I don't know. But if you're just writing checks and you're just going for the check, bad things can happen.
The only thing,
if your heart's not in it.
Only thing Kevin Stefanski can bank on is, and I hope this happens for him. Only thing he can bank on is Deshaun Watson comes back, puts up a bunch of numbers, and the team looks fun.
You know what? Well, here's another nightmare scenario, which you could see it because it's a Cleveland thing to happen.
Please don't you say
You know
it,
what I'm
Jay.
going to say.
Don't you say that,
They're
Jay.
going to
Do it, Jay.
lose. They're going to
Do
lose
it,
to
Jay.
the Patriots, and they're going to sit at 3-8, and then Deshaun's going to
Bucks.
the Bucks. Yeah,
Brady.
Wherever Brady is, I call him the Patriots.
If he said
and I
this-
cannot get that out of my brain.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this
They
last
lose to
night.
the Bucks. They're 3-8. Watson comes in, wins all 6. They finish 9-8, and then you can look at any number of games that they lost that they should have won and said, "Wow, that one put them in the playoffs."
Right.
9-8 does not get them in the playoffs.
No, of course it won't.
Right.
10-7.
10
10-7 would
not going to get him in the playoffs.
10-7 will.
Or
No, it
even
won't.
worse.
I don't know.
Maybe.
The projections that they showed last night on NBC's pregame show, they projected it out, and they said that there will most likely be a 10-7.
Yeah, but it's not going to be them because they don't have any tiebreakers.
Although the
what I'm
7th
saying-
team could be the Bengals, who they might have the tiebreaker against,
But-
who they would be if they won 10 games.
What I'm saying is, like, so if it was a gentleman's
Still a chance,
punt
Jay.
on the-
Still a chance. 2.7%.
Thanks, Jay.
That's about the chance the Jets had to beat them when at the end of the game. and they came through.
16%. Top 5.
Listen, I understand everybody's frustrated about the draft pick. I get it. But ultimately, I would much rather have Deshaun Watson than that draft pick.
Now-
So I'm not going to complain about that.
Now-
I get it that it sucks because you didn't think it'd be a higher pick. But would you rather have that pick or Watson right now?
Watson, but I will say, if he ain't played in 2 years, my fear is, and I don't wish this on nobody, he come back, he playing it against the Texans. You know he's trying to play well.
No, don't you say it.
That's what I thought you were
don't-
going
Yeah,
to
G,
get
G,
hurt.
you don't say it.
Don't
I
even
give Jay
speak
free
it.
reign.
You-
G,
look,
don't say it.
Don't say it.
Don't say it,
Don't
G.
say it.
I told.
We all know what you're thinking, Warren Sapp. We all know exactly what you're thinking, but don't
Next
put that bad
question.
juju out here.
That's
Not
where
on
I
this
thought-
show.
that's where I thought
Not
Jay
on
was
this
going.
show.
That boy ain't played in 3 years, Jay.
By the way,
boy ain't played in 3 years.
By the way, the Browns need to fire Mike Prefer at the end of the year, too. His ass needs to get out of town, Mike Prefer.
Although I will say, I think we found our kick return man.
Yes.
The last 2 games, Ford has looked. He's shot out of a cannon. That's the way you're supposed to return kicks.
Yes.
But one after another, he's taken to the 35-yard line.
But next year he's
Next
going to
year
be in a
he's gonna
bigger
be a running
role,
back.
and next year he's
You know
not
what?
going
I
to be.
really desperately want to see him play. Last night when I was watching Kansas City, Pacheco's a guy who was a late pick. He was a 7th-round pick in the same draft that Ford went.
Right.
A late pick. He was okay at Rutgers. He wasn't a difference maker.
Right.
But it's what jumps out to me when I'm watching him run the football is he's running for a job. He's running for a paycheck.
They run a little
now
different.
it's a little easier when you have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback.
It is. It's a great. But you know what? Edwards-Helaire
hadn't done much.
Hasn't done anything.
No.
And then Pacheco comes in there, and I'm watching him. I'm going, you know, if I take the numbers off the jerseys, I said this earlier in the preseason. If you strip Schwartz of his number and name, he's not on this team. He's here because he's got a number 10 jersey with Schwartz on the back.
Right.
And they drafted him. But when you just watch and you don't know that that's Pacheco or you don't know that's Edwards-Helaire, I'll take 10. I'll take Pacheco.
Sure. He looks good.
To the eye test, and I want to see Ford. If the season's a wash,
he should play some.
Then I'm not saying put Chubb on mothballs, but
Hunt.
I want to see. I
Kareem Hunt.
want to see 3 or 4 series where Ford is the featured back.
What's he got?
What the hell is he? Let's
By the way,
figure it out.
Speaking of the Chiefs, it's so funny because Tyreek Hill has gone to Miami, and he's been a huge difference maker there.
Sure.
And yet he left Kansas City, and it's a non-factor that he left.
It's one of those rare transactions where both teams are better.
Right.
I don't know that the Chiefs are better.
Right.
But
they're not better without him, but they're not worse.
We talk all the time. Does the receiver make the quarterback? Does the quarterback make the receiver? I'm going to make a definitive statement right now.
Quarterback.
And I draft him every year in my fantasy draft because he's just the best quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Not close.
And it's not even close right now.
No.
And last night, when they scored with $1:30 to go and they show the Chargers celebrating, I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I go, what the hell are you celebrating for?
What are you
Patrick
doing?
Mahomes is going to come out there with no doubt in my mind. He is going to run the ball and throw the ball down the field, and you guys are going to take the L.
A minute and a half is like 10 minutes.
And he did it in a minute.
It's a lifetime.
Did you see the shot of him on the sideline right after they scored? And you could read his lips. He goes, "Oh, we fine. I got this."
Yeah.
He does.
Not even the slightest ounce of
concern,
hesitation, concern, doubt. The stone cold killer.
And right now with Brady and Rodgers, big regression.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen that here the last couple of weeks, whether it's injury related or not. Even yesterday, Josh Allen, a little bit of regression. Even in San Diego, I know in the Chargers, I know there's injuries
Herbert,
on there.
yeah.
Herbert, I look at Mahomes and I say,
no, he's in class by himself.
He's the MVP. He's
and
the best quarterback in the league.
He leads the league in passing yards by 300. He has 6 more touchdowns than anyone else in the league. He's insane. I mean, he's not. He has 7 interceptions. It's not the best. He also leads the league in QBR and QB rating.
I said this after his first season, and I'll say it again. I think, and as crazy as it is, I think when he's all retired, when he's all done, assuming he doesn't have a catastrophic injury, he will go down as even better than Brady.
No.
As crazy as that seems.
Yeah.
Maybe he won't win the Super Bowls that Brady wins.
How many rings does he need to win?
Brady
8.
Brady
needs to win 8.
Brady
what if he has
Michael
4,
Jordan.
but he's better than Brady as a quarterback?
Is LeBron better than Jordan?
That's the comparison.
Well, you think
Brady is Jordan. Patrick Mahomes
Everybody
is
looks
LeBron.
at rings, though.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at rings.
Patrick Mahomes, in terms of
I would. But his legacy is he'll be remembered as number 2.
Patrick Mahomes' skill set
think
is
he's number
just
1.
the most absurd I've ever seen.
I agree with you.
It's absurd.
He throws with his left hand. He passes
anything.
the
He's
ball.
a great athlete.
Underhand. If he has to do a hook shot, he can probably do that. The guy really is redefining that position.
Can anybody name one of his wide receivers last night?
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, well, he is the wide receiver.
Right, he is.
And by the way, Kelce is. I thought they did a really good job on the telecast too. Collinsworth made a point.
I was driving home. I didn't see
this. Isn't a wide receiver or a running back. This is a tight end that's losing cornerbacks with shapes.
Yeah,
he's just. And Collinsworth made the point on the 3rd touchdown so many times. And I think it was Asante Samuel made a great play on the ball. He made a great play on the ball.
Yeah.
And he missed it by that much. And usually with Kelce and Mahomes, that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, he's as good as any tight end ever. He's as good as all the greats.
I think you're right.
And he's from Cleveland,
but it's
of course.
interesting that the guys that I think will be the best, the top 2 in history for me, Mahomes has to do it for longer, but I think it will be Brady 1, Mahomes 2. When you look at them, they both had that all-world tight end too. And Brady's wide receivers came and went.
Yeah.
None of them Hall of Famers. Randy Moss, but he only had him for a small portion of his career.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Kansas City. You interchanging these wide receivers. Kelce is the mainstay, and it's been the difference.
And look at running back. The only great back he had was Kareem Hunt in the beginning. And for Brady, who was the best back he had? Corey Dillon, maybe that 1 2 years?
I'll tell you what.
Nobody that's a Hall of Famer.
No.
So what you're saying is Watson Njoku.
That's what I'm telling you.
Well, listen,
Not Harrison Bryant.
It has already started.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski, listen, do yourself a favor. I'm just shouting you out. I'm just showing you some love. Listen, your job is not to come out here with this play action and running the football. You better get in shotgun. You better show some other plays and put the young dudes in. Red shirt, get the red shirt to Chubb. We want to see Ford, Bell. Hey, dust Schwartz off and put him back out there.
He played at the end of the game last night.
You know he's already starting. He's like, we're going to if he catch one deep ball, these people will be ready to go next year.
He's on the team for 5 more years.
Hey, he's ready to go.
McNuggets has some internet stuff.
We do. We got some internet questions that are applicable to this game, looking ahead to Tampa Bay. So let's get them in now before we get Jay Stevens on a little bit to talk Buckeyes.
Got it.
Michigan. Did you make it?
Got it. Yeah, that was good.
2 in a row.
How about Jetty Osmo with a plus 44 plus minus yesterday?
That
was awesome.
He's done nothing for 2 weeks.
Overtime segment today. You can
I knew I was going to hear from you about that.
$4.99 exclusive content. Jetty was awesome. I was at the game yesterday. It was a lot of fun. But we're just internet questions real quick, and when we do that, it's always brought to us by our dear friends at PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wycliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We got 3 questions.
That's the power. That's the power of PCC Airfoils.
I forgot.
Power of Love?
Power of Love.
Yeah.
Little Huey Lewis.
Well, I've missed that.
Back.
I'm glad it's back.
Yeah, I got to bring it back.
Yeah, I've really missed that.
Good to be in the studio. Good.
We have 3. I'll start. Bull, you can start with this one. Actually, no, you're addressed directly in the next one, Bull. So we'll start with Jason.
Go ahead.
This is from Charles T. He says, Woods can go, Prefer can go, but these players can't figure out a simple scheme that they've played in for 2 years. Do we have any confidence they can pick up a more complex scheme like Zimmer's if they hire him, or grow a heart at some point?
No, I'm glad that was asked because I wanted to get to that point. You know, Tyvus is going to get in on this Wednesday of like, they just can't get lined up right, and they're making the same mistakes they were making. So there's only 2 options that I see. One, it's a coaching issue. He can't get their attention. Or 2, they're just not paying attention. They're not very bright. If it's 2, you got to they should have moved him at the trade deadline. Like it's the whole Mike Singletary can't win with them. Can't be here. Can't win with them. If they're really not that smart of football players that they don't know the system by now, maybe that's on them and they have to go. Otherwise, it's a coaching thing, and it's your job to reach them, and you have to get their attention. I can't think of another option. Is there another option?
I think you absolutely hit it on the head. And that's the soundbite that comes to mind for me, too. Singletary.
It's the money ball with Jeremy Giambi when they moved him. Like, can't have this guy in here.
Yep, that's right.
Gotta go.
What's interesting to me is when you look at they go so deep when they draft these guys. They interview them. They have them break down tape. They show them schemes, and they talk to them about football IQ. Bill Belichick has always talked about football IQ, and the guys that he drafts, he needs them to be sponges. Maybe on the priority list of the players they're drafting, if they're drafting guys that have the physical tools but not necessarily as sharp up here, that's an organizational pivot that they have to make.
But guys, don't you think there's also, and again, this is maybe unfair saying, I'm not in the locker room, I don't know these players personally. It seems like they got nobody that's a red ass on that defense.
Oh, we've said that.
No, they
right?
don't.
I mean, they just don't have, like, you need a couple of nasty guys on defense, and they don't seem to have any of those guys.
That's why I thought Sue was such a priority.
And you need a couple coaches that you guys need to stop worried about calling these dudes. You need to start calling people out publicly. Like, listen, I'm going to hold you accountable in front of your people.
Well, the players held some of the coaches accountable.
Because I'm media. Yeah, your people's coming to the game. You know, and there's a thing that I hate, and I like what Myles Garrett did. You watch that scene with all them people in the middle of the field. These dudes out there act there like this is a family reunion cookout. Changing jerseys and
I've always hated that.
and ha-ha and having a great old time. You know these dudes didn't even practice all last week. Came out here, beat the brakes off you.
They had one practice.
One practice, and you out there in the middle of the field shaking it up. Come on, man. These guys, that's not championship caliber players. That's not. You think
Did you see the play where Myles Garrett was trying to fist bump Josh Allen and he left him hanging?
Yeah, that's it.
I did see that.
I'm not making this up.
I don't know you.
He got hit and knocked to the ground.
I did.
And Allen stood up, and Garrett, instead of retreating to go to his side, stood around for 4 or 5 seconds and had his fist out.
Like he was
and
gonna
Allen just left him hanging, so finally Garrett left.
Like,
and I'm like, well, there you go.
Allen's like, F you, man.
That's just, I was just blown away by that.
They ain't got nobody on that team that's no.
You need
at least Malik McDowell was crazy. He was bona fide crazy. He might show up to practice with no clothes on. He was not playing with y'all. They're like, this is the only black.
We need him.
This is the only black man that disobeyed a cop and lived. That's how
with
tough.
No clothes on. With no clothes on.
Lord, listen, his reputation precedes himself, and they said, listen, we can't invite him to the Christmas party. Malik can't come to the party, but you need somebody short of that. Give me somebody that's at least angry, bro.
And that's where maybe you can argue, because you and I both like analytics a lot, but you have to have the balance. And maybe the Browns, who are a very analytically based organization, are not taking that into account as much as they should be, having some nastiness on the team.
All I can hear is a chorus of angels going, oh.
I mean, you got to have that.
That has been my point.
Yeah.
All year.
Yeah.
Honest to God, my headline to this season is all in on numbers, no gut.
Yeah, and I think
that pertains to everything.
I think they do have some of those guys on offense, but not a lot. But they have a few. I think Wyatt Teller's that type of guy. He's a nasty guy. You know,
Chubb is quiet nasty.
Chubb is quiet
runs
nasty.
Pissed off.
Yeah, absolutely. So they have some of that on the offense, not a ton, but they have some. But they got none of it on defense.
And see, Bull, so you kind of stumbled on it, but what I think is, as you're building a football team, and I've talked to people that are 100% in on analytics, and I've also talked to people that are pushing analytics at every, I don't want it. Let me use my eyes and my gut. I think it has to be a blend. There's definitely always going to be a place for numbers and trends in the game.
Sure.
But I also believe that sometimes you just have a feeling. You just, I know that the numbers tell me it's this guy over that guy. One of the greatest examples of that of all time is Tom Brady. The numbers told every team in the NFL, don't touch this guy. And he became the greatest football player ever to put on.
Yeah, I mean, nobody knew. Nobody knew.
But they eventually had the mindset to follow their gut on him and say, you know what? He lives in the football universe. He's a very driven guy. Let's take a flyer on him.
I was reading a few years ago a book. It was called The Cubs Way when they obviously won the World Series.
Right.
And in it, one of the chapters, Theo Epstein made the point of saying, when I first got into baseball, I didn't care about personalities.
Right.
I didn't think that mattered. And this is baseball, where it probably doesn't matter quite as much as in football, but it still matters. You still need chemistry. You still need these things.
Look at the Guardians for that.
Yes,
you can't measure
100%.
what they lead the league in. There's no measurement for
right. There's no measurement for heart, for attitude,
right.
for want to. Right.
Yeah.
And he said specifically, this was really eye-opening for me. He was like, I ignored that stuff, and it was a huge mistake I made early in my career because all I cared about was the numbers. It was all numbers to me and nothing. And eventually I learned that I have to have that as part of the mix. And until I got there and made it both, then I wasn't having success. And that's what, took him to the level.
That's fascinating.
I believe that one of the biggest things that's going to help this team out, and we thought it might be a disadvantage.
Yeah.
In 1 week, the Cleveland Browns go from who cares about the Cleveland Browns to the most hated team in the league. Deshaun Watson's going to come back, and y'all going to get booed at every stadium.
Everything.
Yeah.
Every time it's fourth quarter, they're going to boo you. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to keep asking you questions. And every single week, you're going to feel like the entire country is rooting on the other side of the locker room, on the other side of the line.
Right.
So guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to galvanize, and you're going to have to get some sort of tough skin, because we're going to tell who will be able to fold. We're going to tell what players is going to fold and like to be loved. But this is the next 3 years. If you sign up for the Browns, you playing for the Browns, 3 years, you're going to get booed in every city. And you know what? Good for that. So now you might want to galvanize. Some people can't do it like LeBron. LeBron went to Miami. He likes to be liked. He didn't like it, but LeBron put up those numbers.
Yeah.
Right? Mario Chalmers, some of those other tertiary guys, But they still don't got it. They need to get a Udonis Haslem. They need.
Yeah.
They had guys.
Well, that's what they got to do. I mean, the Browns have to go out. I know we said, all things being equal, guys don't want to sign with the Browns. We get it, all right? But they're going to have to go find James Harrison type of player at linebacker or defensive line to whip these guys up and fire them up, because you're missing that player. You have to have that guy on
I know
defense.
who it is.
Richie Incognito.
Steel Chambers.
Hey,
That's a great name.
By the way,
From the Buckeyes.
hey, by the way,
That guy's got the greatest all-time name in the history of football.
listen,
Great name.
Steel Chambers.
man. This guy, he sounds like a mixtape artist from the
It
Bronx.
sounds like a porn star.
There's
Yeah,
some
it is,
good,
right.
there's some good up-and-coming sports names. There's a baseball player named Sky Bolt on the A's. That's a
Tell me
great
he's
name.
fast.
Dope.
I don't know. I don't think
I
so.
hope he's fast.
Well, there's